Hello everyone and welcome to this FPL Gameweek 24 press conference stream with me, Holly Shand. It's going to be our first normal game week for a while in FPL, so feels a little bit weird with not so many managers making moves, a lot of free transfers being rolled this week with a view to being really flexible for game week 25, which is both a blank and a double. This is the stage of the season where there's just craziness in the schedule, so it's certainly going to be an interesting one. But I've got the tweet deck open to give you the managers' press conferences this afternoon. We've already heard from Klopp and Guardiola in the last hour, and we've got press conferences from Crystal Palace, Wolves and Southampton at 1 o'clock, and then at 1:30 I've got 7 press conferences that I'm going to be updating you on. Brentford, Brighton, Chelsea, Leicester, West Ham, Spurs and Aston Villa. So lots to get through. So if you are in here, don't forget to pop along to the chat, say hello, let me know what news you're after in the press conferences. It's not a massively busy week in terms of injury news, but I'm sure some of you will be really desperate for news on certain players. I also want to know your questions as well ahead of game week 24, because I'm sure there's a lot of you that have got plenty of questions to ask me. Use this hour wisely to get as much help as you need with transfers, captaincy, things like that. And speaking of captaincy, the captain poll is live as well, so it'd be great to get your contributions to that one. Like most managers, I am rolling the free transfer this week. Red arrow last week, so hopefully we'll get another green for this week. I think the benching dilemmas, it's another big one for those. At the moment, I've got Walker and Botman on my bench, and I'm starting Trippier, Gabriel and Shaw because I'm trying to start the players that I'm more certain of for minutes, and attacking returns because I'm not so hopeful for clean sheets this week. But benching Walker does feel a little bit scary when Nottingham Forest away is a good fixture for them. But we'll see how that pans out. I've got the captain's armband on Haaland. I did fancy Rashford earlier in the week, but I've wimped out a little bit, particularly with the injury news at Nottingham Forest for their centre-backs. It seems like a wise idea to, be backing captaincy on a player that, is going to be playing against a weak defence. So that's where I'm at with things at the moment. I can see quite a few of you are in the chat already. I am coming down with a cold as well, guys, so hopefully I can get through this next hour, but I did not want to let you down this lunchtime. So quite a few of you in the chat already. Gazman has confessed to secretly listening in the office. So I don't think you'll be as active in the chat as normal, but that's fine as long as you're here. Anyway to watch. I'm admiring the commitment. Chris is in, as is FPL Veteran. Nice to see you again. Had a good chat with you earlier this week. Charles is in, as is Mahad, Gary, Mike and Maud. So lots of you in already. So as I said, let me know your injury news that you want. FPL Veteran says need Almiron and Wilson news. I'm pretty sure that we've already heard Callum Wilson. I think Eddie Howe's press conference was this morning, so I'll just double check that one first, seeing as we're on the topic. But yeah, anyone else, let me know what injury news you're looking at, and then we can, certainly make sure that we've got that covered. Have we got Wilson in there? I don't know if we have, I'm sure we had comments on Wilson. Oh yeah, here we go. Wilson is making good progress and is set to take part today. Howe will make a late call on a striker. Wilson's been one of those frustrating players where he just seems to have gone missing at certain points this season for no reason at all. Suddenly a random injury has popped up somewhere, which is really, really frustrating. I've been on the wrong end of that at some points, and I know a lot of you will have been affected by that as well. But yeah, Wilson, and I think an FPL Veteran asked for news on Almiron as well. Comments on Almiron. They've been training this week and they're fine. So that's all you need to know on that one. So hopefully that's good news for you. Oh, Darren, thank you for joining as a member. It's great to have you on board. Thanks very much for that. Let's have a look then. So Chris has said I'm thinking of getting either Núñez or Gakpo. What are your thoughts on Liverpool assets? I'm still very much on the fence on Liverpool assets at the moment. If it wasn't for the double game week, then I'd be ignoring them. I don't think it's necessary to get them this week. I know Newcastle will be without Guimaraes, who, you know, is arguably one of their best players and has been very important in terms of the number of clean sheets. They are tempting for game week 25, though, with the double game week. But Gakpo and Darwin Núñez, they're not Salah, are they? If we look at the points prediction tool on the hub, you can get this if you're a hub member. There's a link in the description to get you 30% off your membership. If we just look at game week 25, the predicted scores, Salah is predicted to be the top scorer in the double game week, 12.9 point projection. Darwin's in fourth on 12. Then Robertson and Trent are in the top 10, but they're behind Arsenal assets. And Haaland's in the mix as well, even though he's on a single game week. For me, I'm just not a fan of Darwin Núñez because his finishing has been so poor. If you look at the stats, it's a restart. He is on 8 big chances and he still hasn't scored. He's got a couple of assists which have basically kind of helped him through, but he's third for shots. He's fifth for shots on target. He's third for big chances, but he's just not delivering at the moment. And that's the thing that's really frustrating. So that's what we've got to look out for. So I don't think, I know Núñez is easier to get in, but I don't think he's worth it. We may get some, I think if Salah really delivers in game week 24, then we'll really want him in for game week 25. But for me, it's not going to be easy, even with 2 free transfers. My route would be selling Bruno Fernandes. But even at that, I need to get 2.3 million from somewhere else to afford him. I've seen people weighing up selling Kane. I don't really know if I like that, though. You can kind of go 20 forward, but Kane's on for his best ever season in FPL. I don't think you can lose him easily. So if I don't lose Kane, where do I get this 2.3 million from? I need to probably sell. I'm happy to bench Rashford because I've got quite a lot of value tied up in him already. Walker's obviously going to be, Trippier's also going to be on my bench. I can probably get rid of Botman or Shaw. I kind of want to keep Shaw though. I think what I need to do is, press the wrong button there. Botman to Tarkowski. They're the 2 transfers I probably need to make, but I need to find 2.1 million somewhere at that. So I'm probably going to have to take a -4. Whether Kane survives, whether Mahrez survives, that's the question. But then who do you bring in? Really, really difficult. I'm hoping Salah blanks and then I can just ignore him because we can use Arsenal assets for captaincy next week. And I think that is also quite important as well. That was a tough first question, Chris, so thank you. Teo is in as well, as is Gianpaolo, and Gary is in. Tay as well, nice to see you in the chat. Light Rays, Darren as well, new member, thank you Darren. Kame and Peter are all in, so keep those questions coming. I'll get round to them in just a moment. I just want to pop over to the tweet deck to see if anything's coming through from the 1 o'clock press conferences. We've got a few going on at 1 o'clock, Palace, Wolves and Southampton. We've had a fair bit of news in the last hour as well. John Stones is not ready for game week 24. He's still injured. Klopp says that Van Dijk could be back. Zaha is unavailable. That's come through from Patrick Vieira for this week. So that's one to look at as well. So I'll keep popping back to that, but obviously I want to get through a lot of your questions today. So keep dropping them in. And of course, trying to help me grow the channel, if you can like and subscribe. It really does just help me get this out to as many people as possible and allows me, you know, to create more content for you guys as well, and hopefully continue to improve all the work I've been doing this season. Really been hammering out with the short form content as well recently. So all of your support on the channel, it's really appreciated, especially because I might not have any voice left after the end of this today as well, but it's worth it for you guys. Gary has asked, oh sorry, I'm just going to jump to Darren's question and then I'll jump back. So Darren has said, I've got a slight problem. I have me, Trippier, Shaw and Thiago Silva. Do I play all four and bench Nketiah, or play Nketiah and bench a defender? I think Ben, can you bench Ben Mee? He's in form, isn't he? Palace is struggling. That's quite a difficult one. I'm going to have a look at the clean sheet odds from FPL Salah, because I think these are always a good place to start, and I think ownership's important as well to consider. Sorry, they're the goal scorer odds. Where are the clean sheet odds? Here they are, look. So Brentford are at 42% chance of a clean sheet. Newcastle are lower, but you can't bench Trippier. Sure, Manchester United at 38% chance for clean sheet. That is really difficult. I'd be tempted to bench Ben Mee even with Zaha out. You can't bench Trippier with his ownership. You can't bench Shaw with his form and his ownership. You can't bench Thiago Silva either with those clean sheet odds. It may be taking him out of your hands because we always see a bit of rotation for Thiago Silva around the Champions League. So we do sometimes see him getting benching in an easier fixture in the league when that happens. But in terms of predicted points for defenders this week, Thiago is top on 4.9, Trippier is fourth on 4.5, then Shaw at 4.3, then you're going to get Ben Mee a bit further down on 4. He has had a goal lately, so maybe he's got that out of the way. So the other player we consider is Nketiah. This isn't going to show me now, is it? Because I've filtered it. So Nketiah is at 5.4. So I think, yeah, on conclusion, I think Ben Mee is the one to bench. Hopefully he's got his goals out the way for these weeks and is due a blank. Back to Gary's question then, as promised. Gary said, is Salah enough Liverpool for 25? I think Fulham will beat Leeds in the Cup, so Liverpool would blank in 28. Yeah, and this is the thing that makes it more difficult. If we look at the schedule, there is still a decent chance of Liverpool having a fixture in game week 28. Depends on who wins out of Fulham and Leeds in their FA Cup. Is it fifth round? Pretty sure it's fifth round. So that's kind of what we're working with. And we will find that information out soon, but obviously not in time. But yeah, I think Salah's fine. I don't think Darwin Núñez is worth it. You've got Jota coming back in the frame, Gakpo starting to settle into the team, but there's just not enough consistency, and the defence is a bit of an avoid at the moment as well. Mike has said, bring in Darwin for Mitrovic a week early. I have 2 free transfers and have to use 1. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine to bring in Darwin this week if you've got Mitrovic. Obviously, Mitrovic hasn't been a great fantasy asset in recent weeks. And Marco Silva said that he needs to be assessed now as well. So he hasn't actually scored since game week 19, the game where he got suspended. And then it's 5 blanks since then. Penalty misses in there as well. So I think it's fine to let him go. But do also consider some of the other replacements. Like, I really like the look of João Felix for this week among forwards. So he's another option that you've got to consider, because you could chase the doubles with Darwin Núñez, but you look at Chelsea, they play Southampton this week, which is a great fixture. They've got Spurs in the blank, who are struggling defensively with Fraser Forster deputising for the injured Hugo Lloris. Then they play Leeds in 26, Leicester 27, and then they've got Everton at home in game week 28, which is a blank. So I actually prefer Felix over that schedule. And if we just look, I'm going to filter this for the next 4 game weeks. In terms of forwards, Darwin Núñez is predicted to score 28.7 points. João Felix, 22.3 points. Tony, if you didn't need him for the blank next week, will then double in 27. So I think Felix and Tony do need to be in the frame if you're eyeing up a transfer for Darwin Núñez this week. But yeah, selling Mitrovic is obviously going to be the right way to go in order to achieve that in as well. Andy is in the chat as well. Good to see you, Andy. Currently have Rashford as captain, but seriously thinking of going a big differential with Felix. Trust your expertise. What do you think? Wow. I mean, the captain poll at the moment is 71% Haaland, 29% Rashford. I'm going to Old Trafford on Sunday, and I was really tempted to captain Rashford. I don't know if anyone saw it. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. What I want to get up for you is a graphic that I made earlier this week, which shows, I think I can do it, which compares Haaland and Rashford, because I was seriously thinking earlier in the week, and you'll know this if you watch my team selection video, that I was tempted to go. Oh no, what's that done there? Oh, I just need to make it bigger. Here we go. Editing on the go, guys, not my strong point. I was tempted to go with Rashford captain over Haaland captain this week. The reason for that is Haaland's form away hasn't been that great, just 3 goals in 5 fixtures since the restart for 25 points. Rashford at home has been phenomenal, 5 goals, 2 assists, 52 points. Really, really tempting, but Manchester United are without Casemiro, which does make Rashford less appealing. And Leicester are playing really well as well. So that's another thing to consider. And given that Nottingham Forest, Haaland scored a hat-trick in the home fixture. Their centre-backs, McKenna and Willy Bowley, both got substituted after 6 minutes in the game against Fulham. They went on to concede 2 goals in that game, and they're both out long term. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I saw somewhere that they were trying to re-register Steve Cook in their squad. I don't know did they have to redo their squads mid-season? They were trying to re-register him so they could play him. This is just something I saw on Twitter, so I don't know if it's true or not. I mean, Steve Cook was, phenomenal for them last season. He's not a bad player, but, that injury crisis just makes Haaland really, really appealing this week. There is a little bit of concern that Haaland could be benched or Pep could rotate, given that they played Sunday, Wednesday. They then play Saturday, and then they've got Champions League midweek. So that's something else to consider. So they travel to RB Leipzig on Wednesday. So it is a congested time in the fixture schedule. So João Felix could be a good option. And if we actually look at the predicted scores just for this week. Why is that not selecting forwards now? Hang on. Nothing ever happens quickly. So Haaland predicted 8.5 points. Rashford 7.3. João Felix 4th at 6.4. So it's by no means a crazy decision to go with João Felix captain. But I don't know. I think Haaland, because of this injury situation at Forest, has got to be the key captain contender. But it's probably on a par with Rashford is what I'd say about that one. But good question, Andy. Let me know if you're going to go through with it. I'm just going to pop over to the tweet deck to see if we've got anything come through in the last 10 minutes or so. I don't think there's anything new coming up. It's just gearing up for those 7 press conferences at 1:30. Mod Azil is asking about defenders. I think James Tarkowski and Max Kilman are good transfers in this week, given they've got nice fixtures this weekend and then they double in game week 25. Kame says, get well soon, thank you. I feel like my voice is getting worse already and we're only a third of the way through, but we'll get through it. Teo says, wishing you a good week. Interested to know, how is Tony doing a -4 Botman and Shaw to James and Tarkowski? I like those moves, but I do think it's a bit scary going without Shaw, given that he's got a goal and a couple of assists in recent games. That's something that we do need to keep an eye on, that form. I think it makes it a bit difficult to go without him. I've just realised as well that you can't see anything that I'm doing on screen because I'd put that captaincy graphic on as well. So sorry about that, guys. I'll try and keep it updated. Next question was from Light Rays. Says, Light Rays is looking to roll transfer this week. I think most people are doing. Tay has asked, Bamford out for João Felix. I like that move. I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's a good one to watch. Gary says, you got 10 from Almiron last week when you Latois still had him. Yeah, I have to take that back, Gary, don't I? Almiron. I had a bit of a nightmare last week because I sold Almiron, who obviously got a 10-pointer. I benched Luke Shaw for 12 points. Should have played the bench boost. 22 points from the bench. Never mind, eh? It's just crossed over to 11.2 million players in FPL this season, which is crazy. Crazy, the growth of the game. Gianpaolo, will Arteta call Ben White? I think so. We didn't get the most convincing performance from Tomiyasu, obviously at fault for De Bruyne's first goal midweek. So I think Ben White will come in. I think we may see Tomiyasu get some minutes in the more challenging games. FPL veteran is doing the hard work for me, said top show. Remember everyone to like and subscribe. Thank you very much for that. Keep supporting the channel is all I can say. I'll pop that up just to remind everyone. Gary says Darwin Núñez is Andy Carroll 2.0. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. I did triple captain Andy Carroll in FPL once, so less said about that, the better. Kame says, to get Salah, I have to sell Mahrez and Ake or Mitrovic. 2 transfers minimum. What do you think? Let's see what Salah produces this week before making a decision. But it's always difficult to know whether it's worth, you know, dismantling your entire squad to get a player in for a double game week. Peter, my captain for this game week is Mo Salah. Nice. Do I keep Perisic? And do I keep in Castagna or bringing Kilman? I think Perisic has got to go with Spurs' current form. I think it's got to, you know, you've got to go with the form players at the minute, and I don't think anyone really wants to be on that Spurs defence. Tendai says, would you do a wildcard draft? Oh dear. Wildcard draft. I think Kepa and Ray are in goal. I think you would keep Trippier, especially if you've had him a while. You need an Arsenal triple up. But probably Saka would be in the triple up. You need Haaland. I mean, you've got to keep in mind a bench boost later in the season, haven't you? I think you'd have to go Matoma with their double in mind. I think you'd have to go Salah with Liverpool's double. How are we doing on money? I think you could stick Tarkowski in there. Difficult. probably need... Not going to get Kane in, am I? I think you could go Felix, though. I think you could... Do you think you'd triple up on the Chelsea defence? I don't know if you can afford to, though. Who are you going to plug in as a cheap forward? Ferguson's due back right, isn't he? Kind of need someone that's going to start, though. That final forward slot, I mean, you could go Nonto, couldn't you? I think Nonto would probably have to go in there. You could probably fit in a Chelsea defender. I think if you was wildcarding this soon, though, I think you'd have to play safe with Badiashile. Bit of money in the bank, actually. I'm surprised there. Let me have a look at these forwards again. It's difficult, though. Would you take a punt on Iheanacho? What about Maddison? Tricky. Maybe you go Iheanacho. I'm just thinking if you've got a bench boost to play later in the season. So in here we've got... You've got 4 doublers for 25 and you've got 3 blankers. So that would work. And then in 27... You've got, double game week 27. I mean, I don't know if double game week 27 is even going to go ahead for Brighton. But I don't think you can load up too much on Brentford and Brentford at this stage. I think you need a plan to get them in. But then in terms of blankers in 28, you've got those with a fixture in 28. You've got Kepa, Badiashile, Trippier. Can't remember if Everton have got a fixture. Yeah, Tarkowski, you've got the Arsenal boys, potentially Salah, João Felix, don't think Leicester have a fixture. You've got 8 there, so I think you'd be okay there. I don't know who you plug in as your last player, but hopefully that gives you, just going to screenshot that so I've got that in case we need it again. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of how to construct a wildcard team and the things that you need in there. Let's pop over to the tweet deck, see if anything's happening with the pressers. They're coming, but they're not quite there yet. Be very soon though. Probably. I think what I'll do is I'll leave the tweet deck open now because things are going to start to filter through. Joshua says Zinchenko or Trippier. If this is to start, I think I'd say Trippier. Tendai says time to bring in a double play and remove Trippier. The thing is with Trippier. Oh, we've got updates now on Podence closer to fitness for Wolves. The thing is with Trippier, right, if you bought him early, say like I bought him at 5.1, he's now 6.1. If I sell him now, I sell him for 5.6. If I want to buy him back in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have to pay 6.1, so I'm going to lose 0.5 million of team value. So he's on course to break the record for the highest ever score from a defender in FPL in a season. You are going to want him back even if you sell him, and he's going to cost you more money. So especially because Newcastle have a fixture in that blank game week 28, I think it's really important you hang on to him. Marcus says with Jota, Firmino, Gakpo and Nunes competing for 2 spots in Liverpool's front 3, is Darwin now an option with minutes concern being an issue? Yeah, this is, I mean, he's not, for me, he's not really an option anyway, but yeah, it's another argument in there, isn't it? Oh, thank you for the super chat, Tendai. I'm glad that you found it useful. Appreciate that one, buddy. Ahmed says -4 to get Felix and Badiashile for Kane and Bueno. I don't think this week is the week for hits unless you've got serious problems. Because Kane and Bueno could do well, right? I think you need all the flexibility for next week. WB says start Mitoma or Nketiah. Have to bench one. I think I'd... Let's have a look at the predict. So there's not really is not a lot in it. Matoma v Nketiah. Is literally a 50-50. Could not be closer. Both projected to score 5.4 points. Flip a coin. Who's more owned? Who's more highly owned? Don't actually know the answer to that. Mitoma is in 13.7% of squads, and Nketiah is in 11.8%. I think you're going to have to flip a coin on that one, Mitoma or Nketiah. Really is that close? Tough questions today, getting me thinking. Right, I'll keep the tweet deck open again because I'm sure we're going to get more news soon. Graham Potter is in the building. I've lost my place in the chat as well. This always happens to me. Oh, we're here, we're all right. Ahmed says 1 for the bench, Nketiah or Mitoma. That's got to be... you can't bench Odegaard. I've made it halfway through without my voice giving up, guys. Gazman says... Gazman, I thought you were meant to be working, mate. Mahrez to Neves for the extra 2 million to afford Salah from Bruno. It's just not that exciting, is it? Graham Potter has said that Chilwell and Sterling could be in the squad. I don't think Cucurella owners need to worry yet, but you may be worried soon. VL says, hello, would you rather get Salah and Kilman for Game Week 25 or Gakpo and Robertson? Salah and Kilman for me. I think that's an easy one. FPL Harry is in. Thanks so much for dropping by. Dipto says Game Week 25, Salah in for Mahrez and Nunes in for Kane, or Nunes in for Mitrovic and Tarkowski in for Shaw. You see, Mahrez and Kane are kind of longer term holds for me, so I prefer the second move, which means dropping Mitrovic and Shaw to get in the double Game Week players. I think that one sounds fine. Wei Jing, Iheanacho in for Mitrovic. Yeah, not a bad shout. Not a bad shout at all. I don't know if the algorithms have really caught on to Leicester assets yet. They've scored 8 goals in their last 2 games. It's all coincided with Maddison being back fit. Obviously, they're way down on the algorithm this week. Maddison's actually highest. It's because I've got United away this week that the algorithm's not really loving it yet. So I think Iheanacho isn't even. I think it's minutes that has prevented Iheanacho, because that's a projection of 41 minutes for Iheanacho. But it will happen. The algorithm will catch up. Right, I'll pop back onto the tweet deck so we can see what's happening, what's coming through on there now. So, yeah, not too much at the moment. I can't remember if anyone said that there was something specific that they were waiting for today. So that'd be good to see. Mike has said that Mitrovic is probably going to explode just because Silver said he's a doubt. Yeah, that happened last time, didn't it? It's at Game Week 17, he got 2 goals and an assist, or the other way around, something ridiculous like that. Some speculative comments on Aubameyang from Graham Potter. Ritvik says, which 2 players should I play in my defence out of Tarkowski, Trippier and White? I think it'd be Trippier and White for me. Franz says, would you play Andreas or Mitrovic this week? I mean, I was going to say play Mitrovic, what's the worst that can happen? But, you know, on recent performances, it could go pretty badly. But no, I think I would just start Mitrovic soon. Gerald is in late, don't worry. As long as you've made it, that's all that matters. Nelson says, hello Holly, between Perisic, Gabriel and Tarkowski, who would you bench this week? Perisic. I wouldn't have any Spurs defenders anywhere near my team at the moment, given, you know, their current form. A big worry. Ten Hag is in now. A few comments about being ready for Sunday after that big game against Barcelona. I missed it actually. I didn't realise that it was the early kick-off. Got ready to sit down and watch it at 8 o'clock and it was already over. The problem with having children, we'll blame them. Bedtime. I wouldn't have been able to watch it anyway, to be fair, at that time. So, Ritfix says, Gameweek 25, I'm planning to get either Neves or Mahrez in place of Bruno and have Felix or Darwin in place of Johnson. Yeah, I think sometimes we need to prioritise the long-term moves over the short-term, and, you know, we can start looking at chip strategies for the doubles and the blanks as well, but we can't really make any decisions on that until after game week 25, so it depends like how conservative a manager you are. Please don't spam the chat though, buddy. Charlie said, in FPL, what does vice captain really mean? So this is a good beginner's question, and you know, if you are watching and you're fairly new to FPL and you've got any questions, there isn't such a thing as a silly question. Please do answer them. But yeah, the vice captain essentially means that if your captain doesn't play, then your vice captain points gets doubled. So in the case of my squad for this week, say Haaland gets rested and plays 0 minutes, then Rashford becomes my captain and his point score gets doubled. So there's certain things in FPL that are good to do. So for example, having captain and vice captain in different fixtures, and that just means if one gets postponed really late for whatever reason, you're still going to have a vice captain. Should I captain Saka, Rashford or Haaland? I would captain Haaland or Rashford. I'm going Haaland. I think Rashford is a good pick as well. Charlie's also asked, do you think Núñez instead of Trippier? If that's the start, you've got to start Trippier. Look at his form at home, right? Obviously, he blanked to get West Ham, but before that, 9-pointer against Fulham, 8-pointer against Leeds, 7-pointer against Chelsea. It's like it's in those home games that you think, oh, what's he going to deliver? Like he got a 6-pointer away at United. He scored against Man City in game week 3 for a 6-pointer at home. He got a 7-pointer against Chelsea in game week 16. He's fixture proof. You've got to start him, in my opinion. Tendai says Grealish a good differentiator opposed to Mahrez. Yeah, I completely agree with that as well. It's been nice to see Grealish become an FPL proposition again, because, you know, it's been a while since he's been at City. You've got to remember, like, the season where he moved away from Aston Villa, he got 18 attacking returns. The season before that, he got 15. He's on 8 for this season, but goal and an assist in the double game week 23. He's had, you know, a few more assists as well. It is starting to click for him. Finally, he's becoming a bit of a regular, which is great to see as well. Sorry, I got a bit distracted there with answering questions and lost track a bit of what's going on in the pressers. Don't think anything new has come up. Ben's comments on Chilwell. I think basically Chilwell's going to be eased in quite slowly. Ten Hag's talking about takeovers. It's like, it was last week we had Pep's press conference and it was all about the financial fair play business. So I think the actual stuff that we wanted to know was embargoed. Typical. The life of an FPL manager. I keep saying one day I'll be in the press conference and I'll be asking the questions that we want answering. And that's going to be a game changer when that's happened. In the US, with their press conferences for their sporting games, you get to know the 11s the day before. You know, the managers have to say if a player's in or out, if they're injured. None of this like speculation. I guess it does add an element to the game and it does help more engaged managers, but still. Another question from Charlie. Do you think Mudryk should go out for Núñez or Wan-Bissaka even? I think I'd start Mudryk. It's a great fixture. I Carpio says, I'm planning on rolling my free transfer to next week. My team is exactly like yours, but I've got White over Gabriel. Thoughts on who to bring in? Yes, whether we go Salah or not. I don't know who I would get, though. If I didn't get Salah, I mean, I'd probably do Botman or Shaw to Tarkowski. That would probably be one move. I'd have to do Fernandes out for someone, but I don't know who I'd buy. I want Saka, you see. But that's not going to happen. Could get Maddison, but then he's got a blank coming up. There's a lot to think about. I'm not really looking forward to next week. This week's been such an easy roll the free transfer. Next week is going to be an absolute nightmare. Team using from Brentford. Not any regulars, though, that we need to worry about. Strakosha, Onyeka and Janssen are all missing for the Palace game. Jonathan says, Tony is captain to make a move up the mini-league. The others also not going Haaland. Yeah, I mean, I can understand why you want to go differential if you're chasing, and that's fine. But going differential captain against Haaland, who got a hat-trick in the reverse fixture. Like, if he gets a hat-trick in that game and you don't captain him and the player that you pick blanks, then you're going to get red arrows. It's as simple as that. So that's why I wouldn't personally be prepared to do it, to take that risk. I keep losing my place in the chat again. I mean, it used to be that I could answer every question in the chat during a stream, but now they're just so busy, I struggle to keep up. I can't complain though, it's nice to see so many of you in. I think there's about 150 of you in at the moment. So we're on 50 likes, so if you haven't liked the stream yet, please do. Subscribe to the channel as well. Let's see how we're doing. I'm trying to get, like, I'd love to get, this is going to go crazy now because I've just refreshed it because I wasn't on it properly before. I'd love to get to 16,500 today. Maybe not on stream, but today in general. I've got a few more bits of content coming out later today, so please help me on the way, hitting that subscribe button. If you're watching, if you're enjoying it, if I've answered your question today, you want to see more content from me, you want the channel to grow, then help me out with the subscriber count as well. There's a little bit of a delay on this, so that's probably why it's not moving, but then it'll suddenly, I'll click away and it'll suddenly start moving up. Let's get it to 16,450, let's get it on a round number. Gerald said, absolute nightmare last week when I sold Tony and March. Wow. Looking to roll this week. Yeah, it's one of them. It's this time of year, right, where you get people saying that, you know, if they'd not made any moves since their game week 1 team, they'd be at whatever rank, and it's a lot higher than their rank at the moment. It's just, that's what you get with FPL. It's just painful sometimes, but we'll get there. We'll get there with it. Surely at some point your luck's got to change. Just move on, learn from the bad decisions and move on. Sudhir says, Akanji, Shaw or March? Who would I pick? I mean, Akanji, if he starts, I could see a clean sheet if he starts. It's really difficult, that one. I fancy Shaw for attacking returns, but you can't bench March. I think probably March is the one you've got to play. Mike says, any news on James Starr's status? Will he start this week? I think he will. Can't see why you won't. He's not been mentioned by Potter negatively today. FPL AXI for Game Week 25. Do you reckon I'd go with which of these options using my free transfers? Salah and Tarkowski or Gakpo and Trent? Salah and Tarkowski every day. It's an easy one, that one. Nelson says, I'm thinking of selling Kane for Darwin next game week so I can bring Salah in for the double. Okay. Only minus it means struggling to find a way to bring Kane back in and trusting Salah long term. Liverpool could blank in 28. Oh, here we go. This is some news for Tony owners. Tony will start for Brentford against Palace. He's trained all week. I prefer Kane long term, but Kane definitely blanks in 28. Salah's 50-50 at the moment. Or says, how about Kilman or Dawson? I like Kilman. I think the algorithm team seems to be favouring Dawson. Let's try again. Yeah, so Dawson is first on the hub points predictions. Remember, you can get full access to this tool if you're a hub member. 30% off your annual membership by hitting the link in the description. But yeah, the algorithm prefers Dawson and Semedo over Kilman. I think it is purely a minutes thing. My voice is getting there. We're nearly through. Roger says James Maddison's fine, he's trained well. Valter said, just joined in. Any news whether Martinelli or Trossard will start this game week? So I saw in the press conference today that Arteta said that Trossard's been playing well and he deserves to start at some point. So Martinelli's time's up, I'm afraid. But Trossard as well isn't a good fantasy pick either, which is a shame, because they're going to share minutes. Man Dip says, when do you think is best to use a triple captain besides 25? Do you think Salah, Kane and Haaland will get a better double later on? So if Liverpool blank because Fulham make the next round of the FA Cup, then Liverpool will have a double game week where one of their games is Fulham at home. Man City are set to miss their game against West Ham in game week 28, so they would have a double involving West Ham at home. Kane and Spurs will have a fixture involving Southampton away. I can't remember what else is outstanding now. Let me just have a look. I've still not got used to the new website. So Salah has got a fixture against Chelsea to be rescheduled, which isn't great. City are up to date on fixtures now. Spurs are up to date as things stand. So that's what's coming up. But I prefer to use my triple captain sooner rather than later, because the doubles towards the end of the season, you may want to bench boost, free hit. You can only use one chip per game week. So that's an important thing to factor in. We've also got to bear in mind that more rotation later in the season, Champions League, if teams progress that far as well. So that's what we've got to weigh up in there. Pop back onto the tweet deck to see if there's anything else coming through. I'll keep plowing on through the questions. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to all of them before the end of the stream, but I will do my best. Keep hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button as well. Help me on my way. I said 16,450, didn't I? We're at 16,436 now. So another 14 subs to get me to around 50 mark, which would be much appreciated this afternoon. Aaron says Walker or Mitrovic. I think you can start Walker if Mitrovic is a doubt, to be fair. Gary says Gakpo was he Poch's dad? Maybe it was Pep's dad. Ichichi says, will Badiashile get more points than Trippier in the next 5? You see, in terms of points per game, right? I mean, obviously, Badiashile's got such a small sample size. But Trippier's at 6.6, Badiashile's at 5.2. The algorithm for defenders. Say over the next 5. I mean, Trippier isn't even in this list, but I think it's because he's of the blank, isn't it? Badia Shields at 18.8. Where is Trippier? Oh, it's just behind 18.1. So it's a 50-50. We've also got to remember, if you want Trippier back in 29, say, you're going to have to pay an extra 0.5 million to get him back in. That's the thing that you've got to weigh up. Don't know if we've seen any more big news on the tweet deck, but I'm going to keep hopping back over. Dipto says start any 2, James, Mitrovic, White, Andreas. James. Maybe James and White now. That is a difficult one though. Yeah, that's a really difficult one. Right, let's see how much progress we've made. Oh, it's moving up. Another 11 subs will get me to 16,450. Sounds like a nice number. I'm just going to end the poll so that we can discuss that as well. 68% are on Captain Haaland, 31% on Rashford. That doesn't even add up to 100, which really annoys me because I am a bit anal about things like that. But yeah, Haaland's got to have the edge for me, I think. I can understand why, you know, you may be tempted to go elsewhere, but for me, Haaland is the one to go for. Arcade Warrior says triple Haaland this week. That is risky because we've got the fact that he could be rotated because of the Champions League coming midweek. So that is something that we need to consider. Just hopping back to my team then, because I feel like my voice is going to give up any minute. If I talk for much longer, I'm not going to be able to speak all weekend, and then I won't be able to do any content on Monday either. Every time I get a cold at the moment, my voice goes, which is really annoying when you talk for a living. So this is my team for Game Week 24. Captain Haaland, Vice Captain Rashford. I'm benching Walker because I don't think he will play. And I wanted to start Trippier, Gabriel and Shaw because even though they've got lower clean sheet potential, they've got higher potential of attacking return. So that's where I'm at on my team reveal. Thank you everyone so much for joining and for all your questions. Sorry I've not got around to all of them and I'm not sounding that great, but I do really appreciate all your support on the channel once again. It's been another big week. Keep watching my short form content as well on mobile. Anything that you can do in terms of likes, comments will just help me to keep growing the channel and make more content for you guys. But I really do appreciate all the support that you've given me. Good luck for FPL Game Week 24.